According to the Federal Trade Commission, U.S. consumers lost over $12.5 billion to fraud in 2024. And when your money disappears, not every bank is there to help you get it back. That's why we reviewed thousands of real complaints to see how 10 major banks, including Discover, Bank of America, Chase, Varo, and GoToBank, are performing in 2025. So let's begin with a quick look at the 5 worst banks on our list. First up, Varo. It promotes itself as a no-hidden fee bank. No monthly fees, no overdraft fees, and no minimum balance requirements. However, their Varo Advance feature charges between $1.60 and $40 depending on the loan amount. It's modern, it's mobile, it looks like the future of banking. But behind the polished interface, the story shifts fast. Only 32.86% of issues are actually resolved, and a brutal 13.53% would recommend it. Communication satisfaction, just 23.91%, the worst on our list. But it's not just the numbers. One user said $500 disappeared from his wife's account across 2 states, even after she locked her card. Varo claimed no evidence of fraud and didn't act until they escalated complaints to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Final score for Varo, just 35 out of 100. When your bank goes silent during fraud, tech does not save you. GoToBank is a slight step up, but not by much. The resolution rate is 36%. Communication, 36.67%, and recommendation rate only 23.21%. Signing up is easy, but trusting them long-term, not so much. Several users reported getting debit cards they never applied for. That's a red flag for identity fraud. Some managed to shut accounts down quickly, while others got trapped in endless loops of calls and emails. And the hidden costs don't help. GoToBank charges a $5 monthly fee unless you set up a qualifying direct deposit. They also charge up to $5 for cash deposits at retail locations. All in all, GoToBank didn't fare much better, earning only 48 out of 100. On the surface, Password looks slightly stronger than some. 44% of issues resolved and also 44% communication satisfaction. But look closer and cracks appear fast. For starters, they impose hefty fees for expedited bill pay, $9.95 for same-day payments and $14.95 for overnight delivery. And that's just a start. Only 13.33% of customers would actually recommend them, the second lowest on our entire list. Complaints, they just pile up. Frozen accounts, forced refunds, missing funds, you name it, they have it. One customer reported unauthorized card use in a different state, and the money simply vanished. Numbers mean nothing if your account is not safe. In the end, Password landed at 51 out of 100. Capital One is a household name, but not without cracks. They offer checking accounts with no monthly or overdraft fees, but international transaction fees may still apply for some account types. Resolution rate, just over 46%. Communication, just under 67%. Yet just 32% of users would actually recommend them. And behind the brand, lawsuits over deposit errors, unpaid interest, and lost funds. And here are some examples. One customer tried to replace a compromised card after fraud on his phone, but got stuck in a rigid broken system, waiting days for a simple solution.
So that, of course, meant that I had to go get a newer card. Now, with Capital One, even though I've been a customer there for, 10 years, maybe more, had to have a credit rating of 750, so forth and so on. They had me go through this routine where they would call me up to this new cell phone number, which I gave them, and they could do that. That would be the first prompt to say that they could access my account. But then the final stage was to call it again from some other part of Capital One, I guess, and they could not access that number.
Even after multiple calls, Capital One couldn't fix the issue without forcing a complete restart. And on Reddit, another user spotted a random $25 charge from Florida while living in Houston, Texas. The card was still in hand. He filed a fraud claim. Capital One denied it, saying the card was present. Sometimes even being right isn't enough. Capital One scored slightly higher at 61 out of 100, but that's still far from great. The biggest name on this list, and one of the most complicated, Chase charges monthly maintenance fees ranging from $4.95 to $25, depending on the account type, though these can be waived by meeting certain conditions. They also charge a $34 overdraft fee per transaction. Resolution rate, 62.5%. Communication satisfaction, 62.86%. But that still means nearly 4 in 10 users did not get a resolution, and only 41% of the users would actually recommend it. The problems go deeper than just customer service. Chase stumbled hard in late 2024. A system glitch allowed customers to access check funds before clearing, and instead of fixing it quietly, Chase filed lawsuits against over 1,000 people. Even giants stumble, and when they do, it's messy. Chase finished with a 52 out of 100. Not exactly reassuring for the biggest name on this list. Now, I'm curious, have you or someone you know ever dealt with any of these banks? And what was the experience like? Share your story in the comments below. It might help you find others who went through the same thing, or even save someone from making a painful mistake. Now, let's move on to the so-called better banks, though none are perfect. GoBank is fully digital, no branches, no traditional hours, and a heavy focus on app-based services. It sounds sleek and it sounds simple, but simplicity comes with a price. They charge a 1.75% funding fee for money added from an external bank account, with a minimum of 25 cents and a maximum of $25 per transaction. Out of 3,263 reviews, only 1/3 reported getting their issues resolved. Communication satisfaction is high at 75%, yet just 18.8% would actually recommend this bank. Talk is cheap, and at GoBank, talk might replace real action. Like one user who watched his funds disappear. Days passed, and all he heard was a technical issue that should be resolved soon. Spoiler, it wasn't. GoBank's final score is 63 out of 100. It's stuck near the bottom, even among the better banks. Next, Synchrony Bank. There are no fees for electronic transfers between accounts, but if you use an ATM abroad, expect fees that Synchrony will not reimburse. Strong interest rates? Absolutely. Easy credit approvals? Definitely. But when trouble hits, the gears grind to a halt. The resolution rate sits at 60%, but slightly less than 20% of the users would actually recommend them. One user spotted a phishing scam posing as Synchrony and stopped it just in time. But when he tried to report it, Synchrony's fraud department turned the urgent into the unbearable. Slow responses, lost details, and a disorganized process that made a bad situation feel even worse. Synchrony scored 65 out of 100 with strong rates, but shaky support. PNC Bank charges a $7 monthly service fee for standard savings accounts, unless you maintain a $500 average monthly balance or have qualified direct deposits. PNC is a story of two worlds. Walk into a branch, you might get warm, empathetic service. One user called it fantastic after a face-to-face visit. But online or over the phone, that is a different reality. Resolution rate, just 33.33%. Communication satisfaction, That is a strong 80%, but only 16.67% would actually recommend this bank overall. One user spotted fraud and reported it, and then waited through endless delays for a refund. At PNC, it's not just about what happened, it's about who picks up the call. Local service might be great, but corporate red tape can cost you time and money. So what's PNC's score? That's 65 out of 100. Proof that good communication doesn't always mean good outcomes. Bank of America. They have scars, and they've earned them. Remember the $225 million fine over frozen COVID relief accounts? That didn't happen by accident. Since then, they've rebuilt. Resolution rate, 60%. Communication satisfaction, almost 74%. And about 46% of all users would recommend them. A sign of some real progress. Of course, it's not all perfect. Bank of America charges up to $25 per month for some accounts, unless you maintain a minimum daily balance of $20,000 or enroll in preferred rewards. There's also a $2.50 fee for using non-Bank of America ATMs in the US. Some problems still linger. Even after getting multiple replacement cards, some Bank of America customers kept seeing their numbers compromised. A 2024 lawsuit claims the bank often failed to properly investigate fraud, pointing to deeper issues behind the scenes. Bank of America today isn't flawless, but compared to many others, they're picking up the pieces and they are doing a better job. And it pulled ahead slightly with a 90 out of 100 score. Discover leads the pack with a perfect score, 100 out of 100, the highest in our review. They didn't climb to the top by launching flashy apps. They did it by doing the single thing that matters most, solving problems. 2/3 of all complaints are fully resolved. Support satisfaction hits an impressive 85.71%. Half of the users would recommend Discover, and that's more than any other bank we reviewed. Discover keeps it simple when it comes to fees too. They don't charge monthly fees, no overdraft fees, or ATM fees, though outgoing wire transfers will cost you $30. Real stories back up the numbers. One user disputed a $1,000 fraudulent charge, initially denied because the card was present, but he kept pushing and eventually Discover reopened the case and reimbursed him. It wasn't quick, it wasn't easy, but Discover showed up, and in banking, that's as close to real trust as you can get. Still, no bank is flawless. Some customers do face issues, like one who tried to withdraw a large sum from an online checking account, only to encounter delays and confusion. So if you're thinking about your next move, whether you're switching banks or just double-checking your current one, look deeper. How do they solve problems? How do they handle fraud? And stand by you when things get messy. Just ask yourself, have you spent enough time really reading the fine print? Sometimes trust is about understanding the deal you are signing up for. If this video helped you better understand the risks and the options, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who's thinking about making a change. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.